So during a call recently, it was asked about setting up service calendars, and specifically for someone or a company that has a lot of different services. So I have recently done that for a massage client and set up two different service menus for her with different add-ons. And so wanted to show you what I did. Now, since I did this probably 3 months ago, the system has updated so that some widgets have changed. We can now change the order of where the forms are versus the payment order and some other things. So some of the information has been updated. So just so you know, as we go through it. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to kind of consider the services and your add-ons, and if you want to accept payment or not. For a lot of the clients that I have, especially if they have new people coming in, either from their Google business page or on their website, they're brand new clients. They want to accept some sort of a payment beforehand. At the time that I created it, we weren't able to accept deposits. I think that might have changed now at this point, but you're going to kind of start putting things into groups first. So the first thing to do is create a group. So I'm going to go ahead and create a group here in my system so that you can see. And these are the ones that I created for my client. I'm in my client's account. But for now, I'm going to do creating a group, and I'm going to do a testing deposit group. And then what you're going to have is your group URL. Now, these URLs are based on all of GHL at this time. So what you may want to do is add your own additional slug. So my particular client, her initials are DMT. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to add, oh, it's not going to let me. So we're going to do test deposit. It won't let me add that additional slug, oddly enough. So if you have problems with that, it's because of that particular piece. Okay, so we're going to look at this, and then we're going to, so this is our group already created. So now we're going to create a calendar in that group. So it's going to be a service calendar. And so this is going to be testing massage deposit. And you can add a description because that's what's going to show. And then you're going to add the staff member that is going to be offering this particular service, the one or multiple staff members. So I'm going to do this again, and this is going to be test, deposit, massage. And then how long is it? So we're going to do this one for 60 minutes. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave this because this is a test account, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. This one we're going to accept payments. And we are going to go ahead and say that this is $100 for a 60-minute massage. And then instead of hitting confirm, I'm going to do advanced settings because this is going to take us into the extra pieces. So this logo would be what you would see on top of the actual appointment. So you can have the same picture on both of them if you would like. Oh, so if I grab this, bear with me. Okay, so I created these for another client, so I'm just going to grab one and throw it in there, and then I'm going to make it a circle just to have something a little different. We can have the description. We're going to add it to the testing deposit group. You always want to change the appointment invite title because this is what's going to sit on the actual calendar for you and for the client. So you need this to reflect both you and them. So you want to keep this the contact name, but it kind of overwrites. So I'm just going to Control X. I use a PC computer, so I'm going to grab that, make sure that I can recopy it, and then I'm going to do a 60-minute massage. And then I'm going to do contact name and employee. We're just going to go with. Then you've got the team member. Now, what do you want the color to be on their particular calendar? I always ask the clients this. If this is something where they need to, maybe you want them to know that they need to collect the payment, you can do green. Or maybe you want to tell them that the payment has already been collected, you can do green. But you can do whatever you want for each individual service. Because I had two service calendars some were secured, so the prepaid, so the person had to pay when they registered. when they scheduled the appointment, I had those as individual colors. And then if they scheduled and they needed to collect payment, I had that as one specific color so that the client always knew that a payment needed to be received. The other piece is an automation in there to say, has this been paid? No, it's been not. It's not, you need to collect payment. So you need to, I send a text message or an email to the provider or to the client, so my client, not their client, to say, you need to collect payment for this service. So whatever color you want to have here. So we're going to click save. So you can change up and update all of your times in here if you have like regularly scheduled things, how often you want to offer the service duration, the scheduling notice, the date range, how often you want to offer it, and your buffer time afterwards. Now, if you have a 15-minute service interval, having a buffer time is probably pretty important. If you have, say, a 1 hour or a 30-minute service interval, and this is a 1 hour massage, then you are only offering them on the 30 minutes, then you may not need a buffer time. So buffer times after kind of changes the math on things. So if you're really confused about the buffer times and how these are going to work, let me know. I'd be happy to kind of walk you through that piece of it because there's some interesting math that goes along with that piece. So I'm not making any changes to this whatsoever. We'll go ahead and move on to the next screen, which is saving it. Okay, so here are the form areas. So you can use your own form. So for this particular client, she wanted to have massage services for repeat clients because it would be the same kind of questions like, have you had an injury recently? Have you had this recently or something like that? So you would have the massage services for repeat clients or for whatever you wanted to have in that area. You can now also do the widget orders. So maybe you want them to fill out the form first and then select the time. And the reason you might want to do that is it's the abandoned cart process. So if someone comes through and maybe you have ordered something, say from a Hobby Lobby or an Amazon or something like that, and you let it sit in your cart, you'll get an email an hour or two later saying, hey, you may have forgotten this, it's still sitting here, or maybe a few days later, hey, it's still sitting here, how about a discount, that kind of thing. So you're collecting their information first by putting the form first, and then you go, the date and time selector would be next. So you're still collecting their lead information, their contact data first, and then the date and time. So that's why that widget order is now in place. So totally up to you and your client how you want that to be in place. The consent checkbox just says that yes, you are agreeing to receive, marketing materials from the company that they are scheduling with. So basically from you or your client. Your confirmation page is, I would absolutely use a redirect URL. Build a beautiful thank you page that provides links to other social media platforms, how they can follow that particular contact, how they can do all of that information. Is there anything else to do before they follow up? That kind of thing. I would build a pretty page as opposed to just a thank you message. This auto confirm no appointments kind of depends on your client. I have a client that he would like to still do some of the manual work because he needs to do some assignments and things like that. So instead of having the system auto do things for him, he's going to do that new piece. So he just wants to be able to get these, and then he's going to plug them in as necessary. So when it's confirmed, then he can mark it confirmed. So it depends on you and your client as to if you want these to auto confirm or not. Now here's the accept payment. You can accept a partial payment here. So we have it as a $100 amount, or you can accept a deposit. So maybe you want the deposit amount to be $25, or maybe you want it to be $50. You want it to be 50%. So you can have a partial payment that they have to pay at least 50% of it, and then do the rest of it. And then this is a description of what will be displayed to the user, letting them know about this partial payment or the full payment on the charge. Now we're on the notifications and additional options screen. So you can have an acknowledgement email, but again, I think that it's better to create an automation that has branded, personalized emails going out. So the personalized confirmation, personalized reminders, all of those things, as opposed to what the system generically sends out. That's part of the reason of having GHL is being able to send branded communications with more information. So this is totally up to you and your client, but I would avoid that. I do allow Google or Outlook to send invitation and update emails to the attendees if something happens. So if that person is not necessarily using the Lead Connector app on their phone, but they do have Google and they need to make a change to the appointment, then they can do that through Google or Outlook or iCal through here. So totally up to how your client uses the system. Then you can have the reschedule appointment, and now you can have the rescheduling link will expire a certain amount of time before the meeting, or canceling the appointment, that it has a certain amount of time before the meeting or before the appointment. So now you can have those in there. Additionally, this additional notes section is also client facing. This is what sits in the notes section in the event when it sits on a calendar. So you want to make sure that it's not just information for you, but information for them, because this is the notes section that sits at the bottom of all of the events. So for example, we're looking at my calendar for last week, and I now have, so this is something that someone booked with me on one of my calendars. So this is the location. This here is the note section. This is what's sitting on my calendar. So this also sits on their calendar. So that's why I'm saying make sure that you have this so that it's information for you and them. It's client facing and sits on both of your calendars. So it's sort of like making sure that you say exactly what the type of meeting is and who's meeting. It's that type of information. So now we're going to move on to the next section, which is the customizations. Okay, so this is the service calendar cover image. So this is again where I would put probably that same picture that we already drag and dropped from the beginning of it. So would definitely have an image here because this is how it's going to come across on the actual service calendar. Then so I would have a different picture for each individual service, quite honestly. So my particular client does the craniosacral, she does prenatal, there's all kinds of different ones. So then there's the extra services. So would definitely have a different picture for each one so that people get used to that visual memory and that muscle memory of which one they want to register with. Here is where you can change again your colors of the calendar itself, and then what the button text is going to be. So instead of schedule meeting, it's just going to be schedule. I leave the rest of it there, and then you can have your little preview widget. So if I click on that there, so this is kind of what it's going to show up to when it pops in. So the total amount is 50, pay now, or total amount is 100, pay now is 50. There's what's available at this particular time frame based on this particular client. You can do allow staff selection during booking if you have multiple team members, or mine doesn't just has the one. So I would turn that off specifically if it's just the one person. And then we'll go on to rooms and equipment. Now, if you are doing this for someone that does have specific rooms, maybe they are something like a Massage Envy or a location that has multiple rooms, multiple people, multiple different types of equipment, you would have needed to created the rooms and equipment before you went into this process. But it's okay, you can add this afterwards if you need to. So we're going to go ahead and close this and move on to the next step. Okay, so we have a calendar set up, we have a group set up. Now we're going to go to the service menu, and we are going to create a new service menu. So we don't need to, basically you need to create the service calendars and then add them to groups. So we already have basically we're going to do the service menu name. So we are going to do testing, deposit, services. Then you can have your description, and then this is the actual slug. This is what the client is potentially going to be handing out to people. Although you can absolutely, and I do recommend doing a pretty slug, a pretty URL slug, but you can do whatever you want. So this is the testing services deposit. So we're just going to put that one on there. Then the form is going to be the massage services for repeat clients. So this is the form for all of your service calendars. So this is what you're going to have on there. Again, I would do your confirmation page as that URL that you already had. So I would redirect the URL to whatever that pretty page that you have is. Now, do you want to enable guests? With massage, probably not, but you can have this as an option. Do you want them to have multiple service selection? Can customers book multiple services in a single appointment? If you have, say, a 1 hour massage and then there is a specific foot massage afterwards, or a specific scrub, or maybe a craniosacral additional piece, then you definitely want to enable multiple service selections. And then there's also the enable staff selection. Again, that goes back like it was in the other calendar of, do you want to have them say that they want to have Susie or Joe or whoever? If you've just got one person, you don't need to have that. If you have custom CSS, you can add that here, totally up to you. And I'm going to hit save. Okay, so in this particular one, you have all of these groups that you have already added into things. So we created the testing deposit group, and just so that we can kind of see some other things in here, I'm going to add this one on so you can see some of these as well. I'm going to delete a lot of this stuff, so don't worry about that. And so you want to say which ones of these services do you want to be in this service catalog. So that's why you want to go through, create your group first, create all of your calendars first, then create your service calendar last, because it's kind of the best order to run these through. So we're going to save this. Now we're going to arrange the order of services. What do you want to show first? Do you want to show the massages first? Do you want to show the add-on services first? So that's where you can kind of sit and kind of play with these. But for me, it's already set up the way that I want it. And now I'm going to save that. So this should take us back to our service menu catalog, and we'll be able to take a look at what we just created. Okay, so now it went from this particular client had two service calendars. Now there's three. So here's the testing deposit services that was set up. I'm going to take and copy the scheduling link, and then I'm going to take a look and see what we created. So you can now see that you have this one overall calendar that we created, and then you have these add-on services as well. So you can book this, and then we can add services. So someone can come down here and they can add, say they want to add the hot oil, hair, and scalp massage. They want to add that. And so now they would continue that piece. Then they would confirm that, yes, that's what they want to do. They would find an open slot, find the booking, add their information, pay for the service, and away it goes. So that's basically how you do it. So create the group first. Within the group, create the individual calendars. Oh, and then so one more thing, let me go back to that. Okay, so I went through and I deleted the service calendar that we just created so it doesn't screw up my client's account. But what you want to do is, okay, so we're going to go back into groups. And we have this testing deposit group. So we're going to go in here and we are going to edit this group. Nope, we're fine. So we're going to go back to calendars actually. And we are going to look specifically, we can even do a filter on the group and say, all right, I want the testing deposit group. And I want to apply that. So we just have this one. And what you want to do, okay, maybe you have, like my client, she has a 60-minute, she has a 90-minute, she has a couple of different types of massages in the 60 and 90-minute range. What you can do now is you can literally just go through, copy this, because you can duplicate this. And then once you do that, we're going to duplicate it. So say this is going to be it's always going to come in with copy of. So instead of copy of, we're going to do a 90-minute testing massage deposit. It still has a lot of this information, but you can grab some of these things, change what you need to. And if you notice, you're just basically making little tweaks here and there because you did most of the big work, especially when it comes to the availability, which can be kind of a pain in the neck to add, any customizations, things like that. So you can come in here, make these changes, by duplicating it, or duplicate it first, make the changes, and then you're basically adding everything really quickly, so it's a much faster process for you. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, just reach out to me and I'm happy to be there for you. So I realized I forgot a small piece of this. So in the service calendars, there's also the possibility of rooms and equipment. So if you are someone, or if your client is maybe a massage therapist and they have like 3 different rooms that they can use, rooms 1, 2, and 3, or maybe they have different massage chairs, or something like that, whatever you need to have in rooms and equipment, you want to create those before you create your group. So you can do that also. You're in the calendar settings. And so, of course, you've got calendars, groups, service menu, rooms, and equipment. So if maybe you have room 1, so we can do room 1, and my typing is terrible when I'm on video. And then, so this is massage room 1, and how many can it hold? So basically 1 at a time. And do you want to attach it to a particular calendar? So we had done some work. I have actually already gone through and deleted those, but you can attach this particular piece after you've already created the calendar. Or you can create this now, not connect it to a calendar, and when then you're building the calendars, you can connect it at that time. You can connect multiple service calendars to rooms, because you may have multiple services that can be done in all of the rooms or in certain rooms, things like that. So you want to create your rooms and your equipment at that time. So if we go through and we create that room 1, and maybe you have equipment. So maybe you have a massage chair. So how many do you have? Okay, so we have 1 massage chair. Out of service quantity is 0. And then what do you want to connect it to? So then you would create that. Then if you had gone through the process like I did, so you create the group, then you create the calendar, now you can go back into any of your calendars, and I'm just going to take a look at this one just to show you where this is. And if you notice, we've got your service details, availability, forms and payments, notifications, customizations, and rooms and equipment. So now you can say, okay, we can put this into room 1, we can change the equipment to massage chair, and then the system will say, okay, if this service is available with this team member, this room, and this equipment, then we can make it official and we can book it. Then we can also show that these things are then blocked off for this particular time frame. So then if someone tries to book something and the massage chair isn't available, then that massage chair isn't going to be able to be booked. They move it to the next available time frame. So this is how you would go through and add specific rooms or equipments to what you're going on with your service calendars. So you can do it as part of the individual calendars when you're booking them, which is usually best, or you can do it after the fact as well. So hope that helps. Sorry for the addition. If you have any questions, let me know.